this two concepts. One is that our parents and our parents' sins and the effects of what they do affect the children. This is in the Torah all over the place. Now, our sages, the other side of this is our sages say, well, that's because, like if you're abused as a child, you tend to abuse other people. Like that's the idea, and they were raised up in it. So that's the way that our tradition would see it. And it's both end. There's like a spiritual dimension. We understand now that there's like a whole hierarchy in the realm of the demonic and things like that. That's again a whole other conference I don't really want to get into here. But that there seems to be like even generational spirits of some kind that can get attached to people. We're praying for someone in our congregation who he shared this publicly, so I can share it. We went through to pray for the house because his son was experiencing night terrors, horrible night terrors, and so we're like, okay, well let's see what we can do. Let's come in and pray, and we started praying for this person first, and he, we just all of a sudden I had this image pop up in my mind. We were praying for just an anointing for them of a relative, grandfather, something like that, and I just asked him about it, and he just, he started to cry. I was like, okay, well, let's go here, And we started to pray, and he started to feel something coming up here, and then we kind of went at it a little bit, very gently, but a little bit more. And he ended up, we were led to have him pray to forgive his grandfather for various different things his grandfather had committed that didn't really affect him at all. Very, normal guy. And as he did that, he just kind of keeled over and started weeping. And he testified after this that he doesn't know what happened. Something left there. But he said, I experienced God for the first time after that in his life. And he's a Jewish believer. He's been a believer for maybe 10 years since I've been in the synagogue. Believer in Yeshua. And experienced God for the first time. That's... Like really, that's amazing, And he was weeping, and I was just like, it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And the night terrors have gone away. And we did go through and pray the house. I mean, so stuff is pretty neat here. Now you can get wacky. I get it. You don't want to look for demons everywhere. We don't go praying for deliverance. We focus on inner healing. If it comes up, you deal with it. But there is some real thing there. Now on the other side of the spectrum, you've got Yeshua who has released us from these things. The father in Ezekiel, the children will not eat the sour grapes of their fathers. That's like a messianic image. I think that's true too. But just like we live in a fallen world, there are parts of our house that aren't cleaned up, like our closet and our basement and things like that. We have sin in our lives even though we're redeemed. It's the same here. There are parts that maybe need a little bit more TLC, coming in. So that's kind of how I see it. Does that help? Yeah. Okay, that was a long answer. Any other questions before we move on? Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, you're on.
You had said to stay open to the power of healing. What does that mean, staying open? How do you do that? How do you stay open?
Stay open to the power of healing. That's a good question.
You said the R word.
Ruach is Hebrew for spirit. Yeah. I don't think that I wouldn't overthink it. I don't want you to come up with like a formula for staying open to the power of healing. That would defeat what I'm trying to do here. But instead, you might think of it like just trusting that healing is a real thing and go out and do it. That's really it. It's not about your inner motives so much. It's about just praying because you love people. And God will do His thing and He'll work out those inner motives and doubts and fears along the way. Okay. Well, why don't we, do you guys think, let's see. So that we can get to a demo, I'd like to kind of move into physical healing now. Is that okay? Do you guys feel like you're, okay. So in Judaism, there really are two different kinds of healing experiences. Like in the Mission of Eric, we pray for Refuat Haguf, physical healing, and Refuat HaNefesh, healing of the soul. And I like to break healing into these two categories. So you have physical healing, Refuat Haguf, and then we have Refuat HaNefesh, the healing of the soul, over here. Physical healing is obvious, but healing of the soul would consist of a few things. emotional healing, which would be, some people call this inner healing, different things like that, which really focuses around allowing Yeshua and inviting Yeshua to heal past trauma and memories. Judith McNutt is going to focus a lot on this. She's going to talk a lot about trauma and her experience with that, and healing, how Yeshua comes to heal, because he really does heal the brokenhearted. That's a big part of what he does. And that's a part of this healing too. And we can do a seminar on this down the road, but it's a whole other thing. Then you might call this spiritual healing. These terms are arbitrary, but spiritual healing, which would be like repentance, forgiveness, healing our relationship with God, coming into a relationship with Yeshua would be like spiritual healing, healing of our spirit. And then freedom from oppression from evil spirits. Some people call this deliverance. I like to say deliverance from evil spirits, because deliverance can be like delivering us from Egypt. So it's deliverance from evil spirits. But it's really healing of the soul, because our soul is bound up. So I don't focus on deliverance. I focus on healing. Focus on inner healing. And if something comes up because it's in the way we deal with it, and we move on, and then we focus on the healing, because that's where it's really at. These other things are more distractions sometimes. So very real, but still they try to beat distraction. So all of these work together. So if you're forming a prayer team here, you want to have people on your team that are really gifted in these various different areas. Some of you sitting in this room may have real gifts in physical healing or food. That means that when you pray for someone, you seem to see physical healing more than other people might. That means you have a bit of a gift. It doesn't mean that if you don't have a gift in it, you still can pray for physical healing, right? Some of you, I have a gift in inner healing. That's something. It's like talents that God's given you. I love inner healing. I can sit with someone for 4 hours in a prayer session and love it. Other people, it's like no, it's just too long. So we want a balance on our teams. Now, praying for physical healing is where I'm starting, because it's really the simplest kind of prayer, but it takes the most courage. Because the results are measurable, and it's either better or it's not, or it's somewhere in between. But with inner healing, it can be totally subjective, and you can go and all these things. But this is really, Mike Evans shared this with me, that he prayed for a deaf person, and whose ears were open like that, and could hear. I'm seeing this on FaceTime. I'm like, really? He's telling me the story. I mean, that's cool. Like, I know when I say things like that, and my reaction usually is, really, did that really happen? How deaf really were they? All these things. Good questions to ask. And so I get that. But if you think of it, if it really happened, and I believe it did, then that's cool. He told me another time he was praying in India for people who were at some kind of a conference there, and they didn't speak English. And he was going down a prayer line praying for people in the spirit, or in prayer language, as I would call it. And he didn't know what they were asking for prayer for. And he was praying, this person moved on, and then this person started shouting, and he asked us, what's going on? And she said, that person's blind, and now they're saying that they can see. And he's like, whoa. I didn't think that would happen. He also likes. Yeah, let's say prayer. Father, we just want to pray for Mark. We just ask you just to bless him and bring healing to his life. I don't know what's going on right now, but we just ask you to touch him in all the areas that he needs. Thank you for the blessing that he has.
One thing I want to, I just want to hear scoliosis.
Scoliosis? Oh, he has scoliosis. Let's pray for scoliosis.
Bipolar.
Yeah, well, we thank you, Lord, for Mark. We thank you that the blessing that he is to so many here and in the world. I thank you for your great love for him. And we just want to ask you right now that you would come and bring healing. Pray you touch him with bless him. Yeah, okay. So we pray for this scoliosis, and we ask you, Lord, to come and to bring healing, to realign this spine and the curvature and the pain and all the different things that this has caused. Come over. I ask you to heal him of this disorder of the mind. And I ask you to bring a chemical balance in his mind and to align everything together. Now we pray that you would just renew his relationship with you, that he would walk even more fully in his power. We ask you to come and just transform him. Yes. How you doing?
Good.
Good?
Again,
All right, well, let's see if we can lift him up.
That doesn't help much.
You feeling okay? Okay. Yeah. Good. Well, we love you, Mark. I know everyone else here does too. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, let me pick back up here. So I was sharing about this deaf person, this blind person, and this is kind of funny. Mike also shared a story about how one time he felt led. He said it was a very strong calling. He was sure this was God to spit in someone's eye who was having eye trouble. And nothing happened. So he was embarrassed. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Because the reality is, even people who hear these stories about, like they pray for a lot of people don't get healed. A lot of times. You have to realize that. You hear someone up here, you can list any different people who share lots of healing stories to encourage and raise expectation in a room. They also have a lot of times when they pray, and sometimes you can leave that space feeling like, oh gosh, that doesn't happen when I pray. But sometimes they spent 20 years praying and didn't see anything, and then all of a sudden, that was John Wimber's experience. He spent years praying. He said people just got worse, and then all of a sudden people started getting better. So I don't know what to do with that. So yeah, that's right. But right. And sometimes you feel like only people who lead those things, they can pray. But that's not the case. I mean, listen, in the middle of the night when your kid gets sick, who's going to pray? You are. And we have to do this, And sometimes it's like we don't pray, but we take them to the doctor. Why not pray?
I just want to say, I think if you believe strongly, if you really do believe strongly in God, it will help you with prayer.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's the element of faith there. Yeah. Now, I just want to qualify what I just said. I don't mean that you shouldn't take them to the doctor. You should just pray. That's not what I mean. Take them to the doctor, yes, but pray along the way. See, we do both. Okay. Gifting. I talked about that already, didn't I? I just want to say that I believe that every follower of Yeshua has the ability to pray for the sick. And some may see more results than others for various reasons, but we all do. We can go and do this. And he still loves you even if you don't, so don't worry. But it's something that we can do. It's a privilege. Now, in reality, I want to suggest that I think a minority of healings that actually happened in those big services. A lot of healings happen in those services that are real, but most healings happen one-on-one that people never hear about. Around the world. God is healing all over the place. And he can use you to pray. We just have to step out and do it. So, okay, here's some steps that we can use. Now, again, there's no formula here. Different people have different steps, different ways of understanding it, and they're not worse than me. I'm not better than them. Who knows? These are just what we've seen to help us. Now, Yeshua always did it in a different way, so keep that in mind. But if you start listening to people talk about how to pray for healing, you will notice that there's different approaches out there. And again, different modalities are not, they're for different things, in different places. You might pray slightly differently on the street than you will, in the sanctuary, for example. But I want to suggest that this is key. God doesn't need more John Wimbers or Francis McNutts or Mike Evans or Rabbi Dawkins or some of these other people. He doesn't need more of them. He needs more of you out there. You see? And each of you will have your own giftings, and each of you will have your own ability to go out and do this. See? So, consider these as helpful guidelines. Use this formula. Listen, Shema, love, ahav, or pray. Hitpala. So, listen, love, and pray. That's the formula for all prayer. And So we're going to walk through these. So first, listen. Okay, always listen when you pray. And as a guideline, I found that an average time of prayer, whether you're doing a 90-minute or a 2-hour session for inner healing, or there's just a few minutes in passing, more than half, or even 3/4 is spent listening rather than praying. Now, what are we listening to? It's like one ear to God, one ear to the person. We're listening to God, we're listening to the person. So sometimes listening to a person share is the healing itself. See, so often no one's ever cared before. We live in a very isolated society, don't we? It's like we're all together, but we're isolated on our phones or whatever. Listening. So we want to be listening also to God, who is sharing insights with us and can share insights about how to pray. So we want to be asking God, how should I pray? You can do that out loud or you can do it inside. You want to ask the Holy Spirit, how should I pray and come into this situation? You might get a sense about what the underlying problem is before you move. And that can tell you how to pray more specifically. I'll give you an example. Carrie? Yes, okay. Carrie came up to me and reminded me of a story at the conference, at my Gavin's conference last time. And if I could just share it briefly and make sure I'm getting right. She came up for prayer, and it was myself and another person from the team. And you would ask for prayer for tinnitus, for ringing in your ear. And was it headaches too, or?
No, it was a ringing in the ear, but then Michelle, it was also like a blockage in that ear.
Ringing and a blocking, right. So my natural inclination would be to pray that the ring goes away, okay. But I decided to listen, and Michelle and I listened for maybe, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And I just felt like this word curse popped into my head. Okay, now that doesn't happen all the time. I don't go for curses as soon as there's something that happened. But, so what I said was, I could be wrong here, but I have this sense that, this word curse just came into my mind. Does that mean anything to you? That's key. You don't say, God said this. Oh, God just told me that there's a curse. What if you're wrong?
It's that I might not have thought about that,
Yeah.
or even knew anything. But because that was said, I took it like God was trying to tell me something, so let me do it.
Right, yeah, and that's how you interpret it. So we let the person interpret it how they're going to interpret it. So I'm getting this sense about something. It could be my own intuition, or, but it could also be God. What do you think? You see? And they're deciding. You're not deciding for them as a prayer minister. Very, very important. You can really hurt people by saying, "Thus saith the Lord," statements to people in prayer. Okay? You're not their advisor. You're just bringing them up to their Heavenly Abba to let their Heavenly Abba speak to them. You see? That's key. But so we prayed, and you said, okay, you said, sure, there was something there that might have been, maybe you've been traveling or something, or...
Oh,
Yeah, there was something. So you said, okay, well, let's pray. She gave us a prayer to pray. So we broke any curses, and I went through a prayer to break any curses on her. And I don't even know if we prayed for healing specifically, but the ringing left.
it did. It left, the ringing left, and then the blockage left maybe about 2 or 3 days after that.
I mean, isn't it amazing?
But
And
quickly, I've had trouble for years with that ear.
yeah, and that was last year.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you guys see? I mean, that's amazing. Wow. Now, to be honest, I don't know. Maybe if we just prayed regular standard prayer, like maybe she would have healed. I'm not sure. I don't know. It seemed like something had to be broken. At least, that's what we did.
I just want to say, there was a time where I couldn't walk at all. I was paralyzed, but then I prayed, and a couple of weeks to a month later, I was fine.
Okay, wow. Baruch Hashem. So that was my point, is listen. Listen, because it can direct you in how to pray. And sometimes you won't hear anything at all, and then you just pray as you know how, as you best know how. Another seminar is how to learn to hear those words of knowledge, those voices, God's voice. But now in my experience, God will give impressions through feelings sometimes. I might start to, this is an inner healing gift, I might start to feel, there might be some of you out here too, feel the feelings that someone else has. So I'll be praying for someone for a physical thing, this happens all the time, and then all of a sudden, I'll feel a sadness that comes. And I've learned to know that most of the time, I'm not sure all the time, most of the time that's God's way of kind of giving me an insight into what that person's feeling. But you got to be aware of that, because sometimes someone comes over for dinner and then they leave and you're like feeling depressed and this big despair cloud is over you and you feel like life is just taking a turn and everything's wrong, and if you don't know, then you're just taking on someone else's emotions. You could be in a depression for 20 years, you know. So you need to be aware of it. But that's the thing. Now other people, I don't experience this, I haven't yet, but some people experience pain in their body in the area of the, Mike Evans is like that. I know other people too, where they'll be like, I'm experiencing knee pain, and someone here has a knee pain, and that's, or whatnot. You can kind of have a sense about that. So that's something to be aware of too. God will work differently with each of you. So that's listen. Now, love, love needs to guide everything that we do. Love is more important than healing, because love is healing in and of itself. And this is often overlooked, but it's the key. Prayer is always encouraging. Do you understand? As a prayer, someone who's administering prayer to someone else, like if you guys form a team and you start praying for people, this is not the time to judge them of their sins. This is not the time to condemn them and tell them what they're doing is wrong or anything like that. That's not your role. Your role is to build them up and bring them to their Heavenly Father, their Heavenly Abba, just like Yeshua taught. And see, God's Spirit is the only one who can really convict someone anyway. They probably won't listen to you. So, if there's something that they need to hear, just bring them before God and ask Him. He'll reveal it. He so often does. Just love them with Yeshua's love. And bring them to God and let Him do the work that He needs to do in that person. And I've seen Him, I've had senses, I don't want to give stories here because we are streaming, but in this case, but where I've sensed there was something going on and knew really clearly what it was. But we didn't say anything, and then within maybe 45 minutes, the person would confess, as God would reveal it to them. And then they really get it, Then they really get it. But what if I said it and I was wrong? It's really hurtful. See, that's why this is so important. You can really hurt people in this. And that isn't to say don't not do it, but just learn and let love be your guiding force. It's really key. Now, what if you meet someone that you're praying with, someone comes in or whatever, and you just can't love them? Try as you can, you just can't feel that love for them. What do? Walk away? Well, yeah. That sometimes if you're in the prayer room and you just need to get up and get a cup of coffee or something and come back, it's okay. It's okay to do that. Prayer doesn't always have to be this scripted thing. But what you can do is you can pray for Yeshua's love to come in for this person. You can begin to pray that. Because if you start sitting down with people for prayer, they'll start sharing things with you that are deep. Sometimes they'll say, I've never shared this with anyone before. And you're privileged to hear this, but it might be something really hard. And your job is, and this is a Jewish value, is to enter into their suffering with them. You're their team. You're with them on it. You enter in with it. And so you can say, Yeshua, help me to love this person with your heart. Help me to see this person with your eyes, even if they've done something horrible. You're there to be maybe the one person that's ever loved them through this and didn't condemn them for it. And then God will come into that and bring healing. Agnes Sanford was another kind of pioneer in this. Said, never pray for someone if you can't feel God's love for them. So that's never pray for someone if you can't feel God's love for them. And that's really the key. So listen, love, and pray. Now we need to pray. Now, notice that give advice is not on the list. Do you see that? Now, here's the thing. It's hard because people who like to pray for people, especially in emotional areas, they love to give advice, don't we? We all love to give advice. But someone coming for prayer has not signed up for your natural remedies lists and your herbs and your homeopathy, and they're not coming up to know what worked for you, or your latest dietary discoveries. Maybe at Oneg you can talk with them about that, but that's not the purpose here. And actually, it can feel really condemning to a person who just shared a really vulnerable thing with you, and you just try to dump all kinds of advice on them, trying to fix them. Especially if they've done all those things already. But when you step into the prayer role, if you will, whether it's for a long time or a shorter time, in the prayer room, on the street, in the foyer, or whatever, you create an environment where a person can experience the love of their Heavenly Abba. That's your job. And then bring them before God and simply ask for their healing. Simple. Keep it simple. Now, touch on laying on of hands. So Mark 16:18 says, they shall lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. So there's something to laying on of hands that seems to be important. When Yeshua went around, there were times when he healed without laying on of hands, right? But there were a lot of times when he did lay on hands to heal. And so it's not required. You can pray for a distance, but it seems to be helpful if you can, if you're there. And here's why. I think that, like I said before, there's a flow of healing energy that comes through touch. And so, again, the story of the woman bleeding, she had to reach out and touch Yeshua's tzitzit, before the power. And then he said, power went out from me. You see? So it's not just this big question in the heavens where this happens or doesn't happen. There's some power that goes out. Sometimes people will feel a tingling sensation in their hands. You'll start praying and your hand will start to shake. I can do that on my own. I can shake my hand. But, there have been times when I've been praying and all of a sudden my hand will start to shake. And, and sometimes it's like I could stop it if I wanted to or not. And sometimes I can't stop it. Or sometimes there's heat. You might feel a sense of heat in your hands, but they might not feel it at all. They might feel heat coming in their body, but you might not feel it at all, or you both might feel heat. And you want to, of course, if you put your hand on someone's head, there's natural heat there. It's going to be warm, but there's a heat that's beyond the 98.3 degrees or whatever that comes into your hands. Yeah.
Have you ever, as far as emotional, mental situation, have you ever heard of someone getting relief? Have you heard of someone getting relief from PTSD?
Relief from PTSD? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, praying for PTSD is it's a much deeper and much more complex healing. It's not a simple, generally speaking. And I'll resist the temptation to get into trauma, but actually Judith in our conference is going to talk a lot about PTSD and trauma healing. But yes, God heals PTSD. He really can. But again, don't take that as it's not this. It's often a very complex and nuanced inner healing, and it's very, very deep, and it's very personal, and it's not a long-term healing sometimes. Okay? So let's see. Sometimes we'll be praying, and if it's a longer time, and we're doing soaking prayer, which is where you just kind of pray and sort of radiate a person, you will feel a heat that comes, and they'll feel heat, and then it'll disappear, and then it might come back again. And I'm not creating that, but what does it mean? I think that it just means that God's presence is there, and He's showing us that He loves us. And it might mean that healing is taking place. I've had a lot of heat sometimes and tingling and everything, but no healing seemed to take place. I've had heat where healing did take place. I've had healing take place when no heat was there. Okay, so don't universalize it. But if you feel that when you're praying, if you have time, keep praying. And it doesn't mean you have to keep saying words over and over and over. You could just sit. Francis likes to say that you can sit with someone and just you pray a short prayer, and then you can. If you have a prayer language, you can do that. But if that's not your thing, then you just kind of visualize them being healed. God healing them as you're praying. Let it be simple. Let it be simple. It seems as if a life current flows through touch. And I think that God made us this way. Other modalities of healing, even the ones that aren't really very good, which I'm not into, but they pick up on this, don't they? Like Reiki. It's all about hands. Now, I think I'm hesitant about that. That's another talk. I don't want to get into it. But there's something about hands that can channel, and what we want to be doing is channeling the Holy Spirit. My concern is the other things tend to channel the wrong things, We want to channel the Holy Spirit, the Ruach, that's key. Again, I shared Francis McNutt shares story after story of tumors shrinking under his hands. One time he shared a story of praying for a tumor that would shrink, very, very slowly as he was holding on, and then as he would move his hand away, it would stop shrinking. So there's some nuance here that's happening, some power. And we notice with the kids, we have this thing with our kids called the love tank and the hug tank, If their hug tank is low, we really need a lot of cuddles, The idea that babies, the first way that they're communicated, their mother communicates love, is by touch. And that's what they need to survive. And so touch is just really important. There's something that happens through touch. And that's healing in and of itself. And our culture is so reserved, and people sometimes have never touched. And so many people can feel God's love just through your hands. Sometimes we did, when we were buying a new car, we went out, this is a little, we were buying a new car, we prayed for the people who were selling us the car, But anyways, the person was like, one time we prayed, and we're just like, hey, listen, we like to pray, can we just pray for anything? And they're like, sure, whatever. And so we just lay hands on him. He's like, wow, what just happened? Like, my arms are standing up and I have goosebumps, I don't know what happened, But God loves you and he's here, so those things can happen. But here's the key. Always ask before putting hands on somebody. So at our synagogue, we always ask, do you mind if we anoint you with oil if you want to do that? We use the shin, do you mind if we lay hands on you if we feel led to do so? And they can say yes or no. And we like to ask, do you mind if we pray in a prayer language as well? Because some people aren't comfortable with that. And if they say no, then we'd do it really quiet. That's a whole another topic there. But ask, because sometimes someone's been through abuse and it can be, you really don't want to do that. Okay, so the actual prayer, first, I think it's good to start by thanking God. This is a Jewish tradition. We start in the Amidah by thanksgiving, and praise in the beginning, and then we move into a space of asking requests, and then we close again with our praise. That's kind of the Jewish rhythm of the whole cycle that we prayed this morning and daily. So there are two kinds of prayers you hear about. There's the petition prayer, and then there's the command prayer. The petition is a simple, gentle request. Like, imagine that you're kneeling in front of Yeshua and you're asking him, Yeshua, would you please take this burden off of this person? Would you please heal this person? That's a petition. A command is more like speaking to the issue in Yeshua's empowerment to go and heal the sick. He doesn't say necessarily just pray. Go and heal the sick. You have this empowerment to do this. Like how Yeshua rebuked the young girl's fever. I rebuke you. Now, the idea here is that as we participate in Yeshua's life and power, we're given the authority in him to speak to the illness to leave. That's where that's coming from. Now, out there, everyone has a different take on this. You're going to hear people who say, every time you have to pray, you have to command that healing, or else it won't happen. Don't ask because asking doesn't have enough faith. People say that. I think that's not true. Okay? Other people seem to say, don't do the petition. Don't command, unless you hear from God, command this person to get up and walk. Don't do that. Just ask gently for God to heal and let that be that. That's also true. You see, both of those things. And everyone talks about it differently, but I think that what I'm coming to understand is both can be legitimate as long as they're both gentle. As long as they're both gentle. So we can't universalize this. If there's some element that seems to make a difference, it's not so much about the words or the tone, but it's the confidence and the expectation behind what we say. So we should then be able to say, oh, would you please heal this person? And we really have that expectation. There's this confidence there. It's the same confidence as, knee be healed. You know what I mean? And both seem to have the same effect. But might be different circumstances for different things. So we might say that we should try to pray with a relaxed confidence. You see? A relaxed confidence. Don't make people on edge, Again, our confidence is not that healing will take place in that moment, but it's that God has the power and the ordinary desire to heal. And second, that God, Yeshua, has called and empowered you to be an instrument of God's healing. You see? And again, our healthy doubts lie in the fact that we don't know all the factors involved, and we don't know whether healing will take place in that instant, but we pray anyway. And praying with confidence does not need to be loud and showy. This is really key. Some people think we need to get all worked up about this. We wouldn't talk to each other in our homes like this. We're at the dinner table, and I like this now, just I'm sitting out there, and it's like, Raina, in Yeshua's name, pass the salt, I don't need to do that, Right? No, we need to be loving and gentle, conversational, be confident that God is hearing our prayers and answering them according to his will. He's not hard of hearing. Right? There isn't a formula, and everyone will pray in their own way. And circumstances will be different. Okay. It's important that in Jewish healing prayer that we make healing as normal as possible. I would say this is universal for every group, but really for us, it's got to be normal. It's not a crazy show. It's just what we do. Help people to feel comfortable. Help them to build confidence. You might share with them something like, sometimes when we pray, we really see God heal. There was a story. This thing happened. It's a mystery. I don't always know. We'll see what happens. Let's pray. Something like that. Give them the freedom there. Now, when we ask God for healing, again, be as specific as possible. I mentioned that already. You don't need a lot of words. And, okay, there's a time component here. Most often, healing is not always instant. So you want to think of it like, it's okay to pray and then check in with someone. Remember you showed with the eyes? Okay, how is it going? I'm still seeing blurry. Okay, let me pray again. That's kind of how it is. So it's okay to pray with someone and then say, hey, how's it going? How do you feel? Let's say it's simple. Let's say it's like your knee. My knee hurts. Okay, well, let's pray for your knee. Okay, we pray, we give thanks, we hear, listen a little bit and pray. 30-second prayer, and then we say, how does it feel? And they do this or whatever. They say, kind of feels the same. Okay, well, let's try again. And then we might pray again. Check in. How does it feel? Well, they might say at this point it feels just a little bit better, actually. But not fully. It doesn't hurt now if I do this, but it hurts if I do this. It's like, well, great. Something's happening here. So let's pray a little bit more. Might pray a little bit more specifically. You can do some people like the pain scale. The doctors do. Like, where's the pain at? That can be good. The key is that what you don't want to do with this, you can push this too far. You can make someone feel badly for not being healed. Is it a 3 or is it a 4? Oh, it's a 4. Are you sure? You sure it's not a 5? Yeah, it's a 5. Oh, okay, it's a 5. Great, look at that. Let's claim your healing. I'm not into that. So you just really gentle. Okay, great. Well, let's pray. Doesn't seem to be getting any better. Okay. Well, let me just pray for blessing for you, and we'll see what happens. And I like to say, as a rule of thumb, if you're praying for someone, generally, and it's not like an inner healing session, 3 times. Unless you hear otherwise, but you don't want to go at it and at it and at it. I was at one time where someone just kept at it. It wasn't getting better. I'm like, gosh, just stop already. I wanted to just say it was healed just so they stop. Just be aware of those things. Now, Francis McNutt said that sometimes people don't pray long enough, and he shared an example of a small foot that was stunted from polio, which grew 2 inches until it was the size of the other foot. But he said that the healing started with gradual pain reduction first. And then, after checking in more, there was a little bit more motion. So let's keep praying. And eventually it grew out, after a period, I think it was an hour or so, of 2 inches. You see? So if we just start with a prayer 2 seconds here and then leave, we might not experience that. That person may not experience that healing. But again, if nothing seems to be happening, then just bless them. And they'll walk, and everyone should leave prayer feeling encouraged and loved, regardless of whether healing took place. If that's not happening, then you're doing something wrong. But if it is, then keep at it. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to just move on here so that we can get to some prayer. I covered a lot of this stuff here already. Taking out the, lastly here, we don't have to think in healing in terms of black and white terms. I think we covered that here. And think of healing prayer like medicine as we're going through this. The healing is a process. Sometimes God will work through our natural immune systems. So what you're praying is that you could actually pray for someone's immune system to be strengthened so that they get over the flu. You could do that, right? You can pray to bless their medicines so that their medicines would contain blessing and do the things that they're supposed to do. That's really important too. Let God utilize the healing mechanisms that He's already done. Our immune system is divine healing, I believe. Amazing. It's an amazing thing. Our skin heals itself, That's God. Right? He set us up that way. He did. Okay. So now, when you're finished praying, it's always a good idea, like I said, to close with a blessing for the person. Thank God for that person, and send them off. Let them go be free. Okay. Now, if this feels too much, I want to encourage you to go out and pray for people who are close to you in your family first. Start with people who you can trust. Can I pray for you for this? Or start with people here. You know what I mean? And then when you're out at the store or the marketplace and you see someone who's hurting, if you have time. If you don't have time, then do the thing you need to do. But if you have time and you feel like you'd like to, go ahead and do it. And to go up to that person and say that. You don't need to hear like this nudge. Like, I used to do this. I used to wonder like, okay, is God calling me to pray for this person? And then I don't know, and I feel guilty and conflicted. No, it's like, if you want to pray for someone, pray for them. If you don't pray for them. Keep it a little bit more relaxed, you see. But take the risk. Don't chase them down. No, if they say no, then just say no. All right. Let me just close with this passage that John, Yochanan the Immerser said, when he went to, had his people, when he was in prison, go to Yeshua and say, are you the one who's to come? And Yeshua said, go back and report what you have seen and heard. The blind receive sight, the lame walk. Those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and good news is proclaimed to the poor. The kingdom of heaven is breaking in. That's what he said. And he's using us to do it. So you guys want to try a demo? Okay. So let's see. Why don't we have, does anyone here, okay, I like to take risks, and really, like I said, we're going to walk out, if we see healing, that's great. If we don't see healing, we're going to walk out we're not held hostage to the results. We're just going to step out and we're going to pray. We're going to pray intentionally, okay? And often we see healing during these demos. So does anyone here have any kind of physical, let's stick with physical, because we could do inner healing, but it would take a long time. And that's another time. Physical thing that you can tell the difference, like you're in pain now and you can tell the difference if it got any better. Yeah? Okay, cool. What do you got?
Well, 2015, I was hit by an 18-wheeler right on my driver's side. So there was months of recovery. But the lower back, down the leg, might be arthritis at this point. It's gotten worse in the past 3 months where this is the first time I'm back to the synagogue this year, and normally I was coming every week. Right? Getting out of bed took several hours before I was mobile, and the pain is constant.
Okay. Well,
It's more on this side.
Do you mind, is it hard to stand? Do you want to sit?
Doing well.
Okay, doing well. Yeah, why don't we sit? Again, make things as comfortable for people as possible. Okay? All right, now, if I could have someone, maybe someone who's experienced healing recently, share. We heard, Kira, would you like to come up and pray? Okay, great. Here. Ray? Okay, Ray, great. All right, Ray. So Ray, now are you in pain right now? You can physically feel it right now? Okay, gotcha. Now let's do the number scale thing just for fun here. About where do you think your pain would be now? They ask this in the doctor's office, And like a 1 to 10 scale. About a 5. Okay. This is that way we have something to judge, based on. That's right. All right. Well, thank you for letting us pray with you in front of all these people here. Yes. Avinu, our Father, we just thank you for Ray. Thank you for his life and the people in his life that he's touched. Thank you for the relationships that he has here. Thank you for your love for him and the gifts and the talents that you've given him. We just ask you to come and bring your presence. Ask you to guide us into how to pray. Lord, I want to ask you for healing for Ray, for his back. I want to ask you to come into the time of this trauma, the time of this accident, however many years ago it was. I ask you to bring your presence there. And just in your gentle way that you do, we know that whenever you bring us back into times of pain, then you do so to bring healing. And you're completely in control of this. Lord, I just ask you to bring Ray back for a moment, just in his imagination, if you will, in his mind's eye, to that time. Maybe there's some memory of that trauma at that time. But I ask you to come into that time, begin to bring healing. And Ray, in your mind's eye, just look around and see if you see Yeshua there with you. You can see him. What do you see in your mind's eye?
My reality was I felt there was a presence. As soon as I was hit, that moved me maybe a millimeter or so. Just kind of played with time, bent time, broke time, and moved me. So that was the only thing I was aware of.
Somebody moved.
Yeah, maybe an inch to the right.
What are you experiencing now?
That good sense that I'm not alone.
Did you guys see that? It felt like something had moved him during that time. And he wasn't alone. But I just want to ask that you would bring healing into that time. And kind of just wash away any kind of pain, any kind of emotional fears and trauma that might be there. Come and let him know how you were there. It seems like you were there really protecting him, doesn't it? Thank you. And we just ask you right now to come and to bring healing to Ray's physical ailments here as a result of this. We ask you to touch his back and his hip and down his leg. We pray for the pain to go down in the name of Yeshua, in his merit. Pain, speak to you to go down now. Okay, Ray, how does it feel? Do you feel like it's the same or better or worse?
I feel calmer. So I'll say it's better in that respect. It's normally